department head of TNS Beaconhouse. In my real life, I am the deputy. I'm just acting like I'm not. We're waiting inshallah for Ayesha to come in. What I wanted to start off by saying is I want to make this very informal. I don't want this to be a formal presentation of sorts. What we really want to be discussing is what I really want to discuss is what we talked about all day today. I don't know any much more than you do, and that's exactly what I want the focus to be. I learn from you and you learn from me. That's what we practice in our classrooms. That is what the school of tomorrow is about. It's about collaborative learning. It's about teachers and that quest for learning. So at any point, if you feel that I am going fast or slow or talking too much, do not hesitate to tell me that and stop me and ask me questions. I have sort of prepared a format, and I'll take you through that format. What I'm going to start off with, What I'm going to start off with, I wanted to start off with this introductory video. This video is going to show you our journey from the beginning, how a day at TNS works, how we start the project, how we present it to the children, how we do the documentation for it, and then finally the observations and the assessments. So we'll wait for that video to come on. After that, I'll give you a little bit of time for a brief question and answer period. So if you want to be taking notes during the video, feel free to do that. After that, I'm going to walk you through our portfolios and what our work looks like when we present it to the parents, because we do not have report cards that we give to the parents with grades on them. Then we're going to do a little bit of interactive work where I'm going to tell you what a mind map is and how to come up with a mind map, and then we're going to make one together and then do some project planning forms the way we do it at the school. And in between all of this, I'm sure we can, this is like I said, this is not formal, so we can break at any point to discuss something if we need to. I've put a few things on your tables. These are just pieces of work done from as little as our 3-year-olds to our, I don't think we have any work beyond our 7-year-olds. This is all done by them. These are different techniques that they learn, and art, as you can see on those few posters that I have on the side, is a huge part of our curriculum. It is really where learning by doing takes place. The process of using your hands is very important. So now, how many of you are familiar with TNS? All of you? All of you are familiar with TNS? You're not? Okay. So TNS, the last conference that they had, which was School of Tomorrow 2025, all these great minds came together and they were rethinking what education should be like and what the School of Tomorrow should look like. And there are so many emerging technologies everywhere, and education philosophies and approaches coming from all over the world. And what they saw was that what was happening in Pakistan, it was working, but really did we not want to go a step further than that? And Roger Shank was here from Columbia University, Dr. Roger Shank. Noam Chomsky was here via satellite. And they talked about all these kinds of things, and we decided to come up with a school where the philosophy was different, where the approach was different. We decided to go with Reggio Emilia. Reggio Emilia is an approach to learning, just like Steiner and Waldorf, and just like all these other philosophies. Reggio Emilia, at the end of the day, I think, like all other education systems, there are a few fundamentals that we all share, which is respecting the child, giving them, empowering them, making them a part of the process of their own learning, not being per se result oriented. Right? So we decided to go with Reggio Emilia, and Reggio Emilia is a town in Italy, so we can never be Reggio Emilia because we have to keep it in cultural perspective, what we can do and what our parameters are to work with them. So we decided doing Reggio Emilia, and then what we decided was that the best thing going into our middle years was to go with an IB program. So we decided to do IB. Right now we're in the process of getting our certification. We are middle years, we're in our middle years program, and we are certified for the middle years program. We are what you call in MYP 2 right now, which is our 7th grade. Alright, we are a school that started off with 30 children, 4 years later, we are at about 180, and our capacity is about 220. We are more bottom heavy, as in we're growing from our nurseries with the children going all the way up. And on the classes where you have the 4, 5, 6, and 7s, those are a little lighter, but which is fine because I think one needs to grow with the philosophy and in that environment. And that's something that we can discuss because a lot of people ask me how students from TNS can adjust to other schools and how other school children can adjust to our school. So that's something that we can definitely discuss. Now, I'm really getting hampered by the fact that my video is not coming on because what I did was instead of chatting over it, I thought we should just see the video and then you know how they say that the proof is in the pudding. So you could see exactly what we are doing. I think somebody's getting in technical assistance. Please do, if you can. I really would appreciate it. This is my video. If we don't get through, I'll start off with showing you one of our portfolios. And you know, there are a lot of things we discussed this morning in the morning session about communities, about collaborative learning, all those things. And what I wanted to tell you is those are all ideas that are always ideas in progress, work in progress. Nobody can come up with a real right answer. And what I want all of you to know is that I don't have any real answers. This is a journey and evolution. So I'm just going to show you what we are doing. Can we do more? Absolutely. There's always room for improvement. We can do more teacher training. We can do the community building, the collaborative work. There's always room for improvement. And that only comes about when we all have these kind of discussions. So do stop me whenever you need me to slow down or...
DVD will go from.
All right, don't worry about it. We'll go with the thing. On your tables also, like I said, there are pieces of work and there's a folder running around with our process in it, how we compile all our data and what we present to the children. I'm sorry, can you excuse me for 1 second? I'll have to get technical assistance. I do have the DVD, yes. Perfect. 1 second, everyone. Thinking about why I'm giving and something that we can fill this out. It's not, it is in this format, but it's not.
You need DVD playing software.
I did give the same video for the video walk.
Do you have a laptop we could use?
Is that our best option?
Definitely.
While we're waiting for this, any questions I can answer right up front? IB, that's what I was saying. We're moving forward with the MYP. Virtual media really is not a curriculum-based approach. It's just a philosophy. You can apply it to your regular schools. That is up for discussion. That's exactly what I was saying in the beginning of the session. That's something I really want to talk about and see how we can merge the two. Because just like in the morning session, we heard that Pakistan is a very result-oriented place. Parents want to know how did my son get an A, did my son get a B, why, or my daughter, so on and so forth. We have to tell them about the various intelligences that the children can have. We have to try to create that. And I will keep using the word community because I think as much as you need to train teachers and children, it's the parents as well. When we talk about that paradigm shift, it has to come from the parents. And when we talk about a community means your home and your school and merging both of them together. Think about it. How long does a child spend? You put my USB?
Yeah.
No, it's the DVD.
Let's see.
It's the DVD.
Oh, goodness.
Go to my computer. You can use that or I'll do it.
Is this the one?
Yes.
Okay.
And what we try to do is, when you think about it, how many hours does a child spend at school? Our school day goes from 8 in the morning, and the little babies who are our 3-year-olds get done at 12:30. The next group gets off at 1:30, and then the rest of the school is 2:30, except for grade 6 and 7, which are till 3:30. So can you imagine the amount of hours they're spending at the school? They go home and they barely have time to change and play and spend a little time with their families, and then it's time to go to bed and come to school again. So we cannot continue learning unless both of those things merge together, because learning cannot end at school. It has to continue at home, and parents have to be fully vested. How we do it? Let me tell you one thing. We are blessed with one thing, and that is that we don't have to do any heavy marketing for the school. People who come to TNS choose TNS because they believe in that philosophy. They are those parents who themselves are already of the mindset that all of us are. And when we were talking about this technology and that technology, what I wanted to say was, forget technologies, forget approaches. It comes down to your mindset. Is it ready to take on something like this? Because it is changed. It is changed from your norm. It is changed from, but you know what? I'm rather comfortable knowing that my child is doing bad at school rather than not knowing what he's doing at all. Because I need proof by a grade. And those grades, I understand that they are part of our school systems, but really, the rubric, how much room is there in it for, to be completely objective? Huh?
How do these students manage a maze in the mainstream?
One way to answer your question is that the children who have left TNS have not left TNS except for maybe 2 or 3 to go to another school. They've always left us to go because they're moving to another country. There's only 3 children who left to go to schools here, and they were admitted into the classes that they wanted to be admitted at. Now, one of our parents wrote to us from Singapore, where the children went, and one parent, the children went to so much fun.
I need something to put under it. So.
And one of the parents moved to Sweden. And in Sweden, our child was actually given a grade up, according to their running. But then again, in Europe, they don't believe in formal training from a very early age. So that worked in our benefit, and even in Singapore, the children are exactly in their grade levels, and they're going to IB schools, which at their age level is PYP, the primary years program, and they're doing really well. So I'm going to now start with this, watch this, and then tell me if you have any questions. Or tell me to stop actually whenever you need me to. I'll pause it. You had set your mic there. I don't want to disturb that. I don't want to disturb your mic.
sets the tone for the day. The children have a lot to talk about, especially about how their day went, which takes them sort of a reflective on.
Tell you what's going on here because I don't think the volume is that great. What they're going to do during the day. Now in the early years it's easier because you can have a visual timetable on the side. The children know exactly what they're expected to do in the next lesson. And this is a time when they discuss their project. And because the project has to emerge from the children, they tell us what they would like to learn that day regarding their project. So this is a project that started off initially because it was so cold during December. Children over here are used to warmer weather, so they were hating the fact that they had to stay indoors and it was too cold to go outside sometimes, they couldn't play. And they started learning about weather cycles, they started learning about different seasons. And they decided that spring means rain, so or rain means spring, vice versa. So they wanted to create rain at TNS. They told them that rain cannot be created. It's something that we just can't make rain happen. So it went on to lots of discussions. This particular scene that you're going to see is when they started doing a weather station. It's called KGTV. These are my 5-year-olds. And they decided that every morning they were going to do a weather report. What we learned through this by careful observation and doing assessments as we went along was that none of them knew what autumn, what you call fall is, because they don't experience it in Pakistan. So they kept getting stuck at the autumn part. Oh, what is that? What do you mean leaves fall? Leaves don't fall. No, nothing is orange. No, nothing is pink. So it was really interesting to find that. But over here they decided that every morning they were going to give the weather for the news. Now what I want you to note is, through this, they were also getting a lot of attention on They knew all the cities of Pakistan. They knew what centigrades were. They knew what centigrade and Fahrenheit is. In this video, please keep noting the things that the children are learning because that's very important. To the naked eye, it might seem that they're playing, but they're not.
project started in December. The children were looking forward to warmer days. They had inferred that rain meant spring. Therefore, the essential question became how to create rain.
Is it raining yet? Is it raining yet? No. Do you think how long will it take for it to start raining? Long time? Okay, let's see.
Please notice why they went upstairs. Nobody knows what is happening. Stop right here again to show you this because I think that's important.
Kindergartners now had a project to work on, so they started investigating the properties of cricket.
Sorry.
Long time?
Considering we really use a lot of ICT, I'm not very good at it, am I? So what we need to do now, what I'm going to show you is called a mind map. This is how we start our projects. The teachers sit down and they take the central idea of what the children have. And,
Kindergartners now had a project to work on, so they started investigating the properties of cricket and researched about the water cycle.
mind map.
They even conducted
So what the teachers do, they keep recording children through videotape, through audio, and through actually writing what they're talking about. And then when they sit down, we all sit down together, the staff and I, and we make these mind maps. Now the teachers can actually do this themselves, and I just work with them right at the end. So this is how they're going to show the parents what all the children are learning through that project of theirs. So you see, through music, they're going to identify different water sounds, and you heard some of the sounds in there. The children experimented with those sounds and figured those out. Visual arts, this was a very art-heavy project. Not all projects have to be art-heavy. There's another project that we were doing that had a bias towards science. But this one was a lot of visual arts and a lot of language in it to see which at that age is very appropriate. So they did line, color, shape, texture, and balance. We see the approaches to different media because we want them to use several different media to work with. They did drawing, they did different paper mache work, and they also worked with clay. And then you can see they went into 2D and 3D representation. They learned what cubes were and so on and so forth. In language and literacy, we break it down by speaking. Actually, it should be listening, and then speaking, and then reading and writing. It should come in that order. And you saw that speaking is demonstrated by the weather forecast. Every morning, one child got an opportunity to speak. Vocabulary building. We do keep a lot of word banks within the classroom, and the children can go up and pick up words that they want to learn about. And then writing. And you will see what the writing is content in there. In math, they learned because what the project ended up being was that they were going to make a water feature at the school. So they did a whole analysis. They gave us a proposal, and through that they learned currency, addition, subtraction, because they said, well, this costs this much and this costs this much. If we minus the two, this is what we're going to come up with. And all that evidence is right there. You see it in the measurement. They started measuring rain, how much rain was created during this project, and what we get to the a lot of measurement. And these are all parts of their strands. So it's not like we're moving away from what they really need to be learning at that stage. A child at TNS will learn exactly what a child in any other school will learn, because the learning objectives are the same. It's just the way that those objectives are taught that is very different. In Urdu, there's a lot of vocabulary building at this time. the children were not writing Urdu at this time. They were just beginning to write English. They were not writing Urdu that well. Then you see science and technology. This brought in weather conditions, temperature measurements. Again, they did the whole water cycle. They learned what water evaporation is, although that is something that they don't learn till they're 7 years old. But our children did, and then they learned to make an electric circuit. And we wanted them to use their hands in a lot of things that they were doing. And you see a video of but I'll show you that as well. Do you have any questions?
Why is there a need of you in fact to have all this?
Why is there a need to?
To have all this
Why not start in kindergarten?
Because I think that is why we're having this conference, is to try to permeate some of this into your regular schools as well. This does require a lot of training, but like I said, it requires a lot of training, but it also requires an adaptability, because change is not something that can happen overnight. You have to get the parents involved in that process as well. You have to make sure that you have their buy-in, so to say. If you don't, you can't do that. And with the rest of the Beaconhouse school system, I think it's such an established school system that parents choose it for a certain reason, like I was saying. But we can slowly start doing this with in your classrooms as well. And you know what? I bet you guys are doing some of this already. It's just that you haven't probably put it into perspective as to, yes, this is what we're doing. So I really hope that this does go into the rest of Beaconhouse, and not just Beaconhouse, all over the country.
How do you assess the child?
It's coming up. It's going to come up. Like I said before also, and I'll tell you again, it is tougher for the teacher. This is a whole lot of work, more work than what it is for a regular teacher. And I don't say this with a bias. I say this because I myself have been a teacher for a very long time. And you know, where you're handed a curriculum and you're handed lesson plans and you say, go do this in the classroom. At TNS, we don't do that. A teacher has to take ownership of her classroom. She has to budget her classroom. She has to really focus on what she's teaching the child. And then through assessments, and that's when I said they spend a lot of time, because it's individual assessment on a daily basis. And next I'm going to take you through to the observation part of the SOT, where you will see that how those observations are done. It could be, like I said before, audio, visual, or just writing. This is a project cycle. Proposal, discussion, presentation, investigation.
Kindergartners now had a project to work on, so they started investigating the properties of rain and researched about the water cycle.
This is when they were
They even
in
conducted
science
an
lab.
experiment in the science lab to see how the water evaporates.
And they're writing down the data
Observations are an integral part of assessments. They ensure learning is taking place. At TNS, we create portfolios that show the process. Through evidence of work, this evidence of work should be written, could be audio or visual.